Okay, for this video, I'm going to attempt to give you some of the basic 101 differences between an early and a late BN4 Eberspächer gas heater. Pictured here to the left is an earlier type BN4. It's very well known that it comes with a metal top. It did not have a recirculating snorkel, which is why it has these caps on here that suck in air from the engine bay, the fresh air that the motor shares. Once again, like I said, it has a metal top. They do come in the darker gray as you see on the later, but for the most part they were the lighter gray, especially the ones that they used through the late production of split window buses on the 6-volt versions as well. Off here to the right is a later type BN4. It has a plastic top and almost always is seen in the darker gray, but does come in the later orange, which is to believe to be like those guys right there. When they come in orange, it's believed that those are a factory rebuilt, that somebody turned in one of these and sent it to the factory, and the factory sent back a rebuilt Eberspächer in orange. Alright, some of the major differences that people always ask questions about, wondering what the differences are between the two. Okay, right off, on the early ones, this guy right here, this is your metering diaphragmed fuel regulator. So what happens is you have a mechanical fuel pump that pulls in the fuel. This is what controls the amount of fuel that goes into the BN4 combustion chamber, but there's a diaphragm inside here. That diaphragm gets hard and cracks over time because it's a disposable part, perishable, as well as a diaphragm inside of here. They work on typical principles of mechanical fuel pumps with a diaphragm in them, and they go bad. This one right here, it's almost impossible to repair or replace the diaphragm that's in here. I'll show in a later video. This one right here, you can replace the diaphragm, but that's barring that the points inside here and the fuel pump itself still works. That is the major difference. They switched from this mechanical fuel delivery system to a metering pump type, which is what these guys are. This takes the place of those two pieces. Much simpler design. It's jetted and fuel controlled right here at the pump. The amount of pulses are dictated in when they build this. This does not come apart. This is not rebuildable. Once this thing is shot or leaks, it's done. They still sell these on the internet today for Eberspächer pumps and for various Webasto and other kind of check pumps and whatnot. So these, because you can control the amount of fuel it's delivered by adjusting the length here at the end, and it controls the amount of fuel that's squirted out into the combustion chamber. So you'll always be able to get these, whether you find NOS stock from Eberspächer from back in the day with the proper Volkswagen part number on it, or the newer versions. You will always be able to get something that will deliver fuel to these. They actually still sell pumps like that as well, mechanical fuel pumps. They do not sell this part. This part right here is the Achilles tendon of the earlier style heaters. The second noticeable difference is the fact that the spark plug and the glow plug are two pieces, as seen right here. Those are the same things that a later version took care of in one. You notice on this guy, it is the glow plug and spark plug all in one piece. That was fixed on and updated on the later style. So the later style got rid of the diaphragms, got rid of the two split spark plug glow plug. That in itself dramatically streamlined the later unit and made it run better, run more optimally, because there's less stuff going on. They used this type of heater on the thing as well. I mean, you'll see early, like 1968 versions things like the workshop manuals, and you see these boat anchors in there, and that's what this plug is for, where they had to switch that over here. They used a different kind of can inside here that was meant for the thing, but they actually used these in things early on before they switched over to here, to this one, to the later type. The switch for things were in 1973. I think every 1973, or most of them, have a later model BN4 installed in them. These earlier versions that were in any kind of things were usually in military versions, and that's where you see the pictures of them in any kind of military manuals from like 1968 up to like 1973 or 72. In 1971, that was the last year that you see the early type of BN4 being installed in any kind of VW. 72 was the last year, or yeah, 71 was the last year, because by 72 they switched to the later type. And this was primarily used in the States. We find them from 72 to 74. 74 is typically when they switched over to the BA6, which is the belly-mounted Eberspächer gas heater, and even a far more improvement upon the BN4 style as well. But you can install BN4s in any of your bus for the most part. There are several people out there that will take the early engine bay with the upright motor. You need this mounting bracket and adapt it to the earlier type, or sorry, later type. So you can use an earlier bracketry, and even the ducting system that I show in the same thread here on the Samba. You can look up above this video and see all the pieces. But all that stuff will generally fit on here. You may have to drill a couple holes in this can to make it fit and to orient in the engine bay, but it is doable. So if you're watching this video, in the thread, I am going to attempt to rebuild this gas heater. They're not usually typically done because of all the aforementioned problems I told you about, especially with this guy. But Bus OK sells these. He has a couple of these in NOS form. So I told my buddy to buy one of these in NOS, and I have an NOS pump that I've had for a couple of years now that's going to go on this unit as well. So I'm ahead of the game by having NOS parts for this build. So if you can't rebuild that, or you have one that the diaphragm on it is shot, then it's going to be tough going. Because even if you get the pump going, if you don't get that going, it ain't going to happen. And that's why a lot of people do not choose to rebuild these. Not to mention all the hookups and amps and everything it draws. The funny thing is, this thing probably weighs a good, Jesus, I mean, it's got some weight to it. I mean, it weighs a couple pounds more than the later one. And this is not, you know, it's not super light, but that thing is like a boat anchor. I don't know there's lead inside of it or what. But every one that I've come across, they do have more weight, so I don't know what that translates to and why they did that. Maybe the combustion chamber is different. But those are some of the fundamental basic differences between an early and a late BN4. Both these are 12 volt. I have tested this on the bench with varying degrees of success, but I'm going to jump into that one and build it. But there you go. There's your differences between the two heaters. I may be missing some stuff, and more than welcome to have others chime in and put their 2 cents in, but that's all I got so far.